2-year plan reality. So as we look at this 10-year dream, whatever your dream is you have to start, with a smaller sample size to move forward, right? We can't jump into planning without looking at what the environment looks like. And traditionally, it looks nothing like it does today. So this is kind of a common way of looking at your environment in planning, and it's the classic strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'll just quickly go through it and then be thinking about how these apply to your business, because that's really what we're interested in. But for background, strengths and weaknesses are things that are within your business, things that you can control, can be your brand, where you do business. It could be your staff. It could be we have a unique process that we handle customers, whatever that might be. Those are important things in planning. However, there's also things that are not very much in your control, and they call them opportunities and threats, and they're external. Opportunities include changing customer needs. Is that happening right now? Absolutely. And the quick thing you think about is online takeout, delivery, all these kind of things. And some of us may say, well, that doesn't apply to my business. Maybe not in the current state, but as we look out, I think all of us are impacted by some of these opportunities, and they're sitting out there, and somebody's going to meet that need. Why not us? Threats that are out there, I put new regulations. Quite clearly, there's the health threat we're underway, and certainly the economic threat that we have as well. And everybody talks about, this freeze we've gone into with unemployment and everything else. And there's some people think, that, well, geez, it's going to be this quick rebound because there's all these people furloughed, they can quickly come back. But I think, the people I'm reading anyway are saying this thaw is going to be slow and a gradual uptick, and has very much some opportunities for a setback if we don't do this right. We want to look inside our business, work on our business, strengths and weaknesses, but also have an eye toward these opportunities and threats. So let's get to talking about your business, much like we were talking about your 10-year dream. What are some opportunities and threats, strengths and weaknesses that you see in your business today? And maybe we can start with kind of the external. If you look at some of these opportunities, there's telecommuting, telemedicine, online, market threats. We talked about that. What are the opportunities and threats that you're thinking the most about as a small business person today? As you look at your business, here's what's happening outside my business. What do you see there that can be used to your advantage? And what is a headwind that you're trying to get your arms around? How are we going to play through this the next 90 days, 2 years, and the time frame we're using? So we talk about changes, thank you, changes that are happening in the marketplace, but I think, one thing is that second point is what will not change, right? We're all thinking of changes. Just talked about one. Maybe I need to be a little bit more virtual in my social media presence. I need to be visualizing this long-term dream I have. I need to be thinking, I need to be getting better information on what's happening around me, whether it's health, economy, markets, etc. What will not change in your business? Despite all the noise and everything in the air, this will not change in my business the next 2 years. So moving to implementation. So the design is, what are the changes out there, but also what am I not going to change? And the implementation, I like the concept, Jen, on moving forward, is this concept of walking it back. Now, sometimes we see this in politics, right? Somebody says something, could be either party. We like to come down the middle here on Learn and Lead, but it's said, and then what happens the next day? One of the staff come back and say, well, what he meant to say, what she meant to say, they walk the comments back, right? It came out of your mouth. But I think walking it back in planning is actually looking out and then putting in some stages of how I'm going to get to this. I think that's actually a very healthy process. to walk it back. We like to dream. We like to think big. We like to think my sales will be up in 2022 by 25%. I hope they are. I'm sure we all think that would be a great goal. Well, how's that going to happen? Well, it might be 1% next year, because honestly, we're coming out of this. I'm retooling, maybe at 12 months out, we're getting in our groove, and all of a sudden things are starting to happen. So this walk it back concept is, where do I want to be, and what are 2 or 3 steps to get me there that I need to be thinking of now? Not having this false expectation of success when I haven't got the steps in place to get there. We need ladders to get to higher places. That's what walking it back's all about. So a couple just real quick examples. A university, online learning, that seems to be the way to go. Well, it's been the way to go for quite a while, but there's also been a stigma with it. It's not the same as a classroom. Studies kind of fall on both sides, but the reality is there's a lot of great learning happening online. So if you're a university president, you're thinking, okay, this needs to be part of my world in the next 2 years. This kind of blending of the old and the new. And I think we're hearing that word a lot more, of blending the way I used to work with my clients and now working virtually. It's not going to be an either or, it's probably going to be an and. It really is what we're moving toward, this blended way of, what do you need? How do you want to work with us? Because I want to make it easy for you to work with me. That's how we get business as business people, right? If there's lots of hoops and hurdles, there are many other choices to go. So you make it easy to work with me. How would you like to communicate with me? What works for you? Those kind of questions. All of a sudden, people's warmth meters to you starts heating up, no matter what line of business you're in. So setting target dates, and again, that walking it back. What do we need to do this year, next year, the year after we start to reap the rewards? Another example is a restaurant. This hits close to home to me, being a foodie. My wife and I really miss our restaurants. We help them in a small way through carry out, but if this takeout, carry out, whatever it might be, is picking up, what am I doing as a restaurant owner? Again, not waiting for the all clear, somebody to tell me what to do. How do I put the steps in motion to do that? Do I wait in to a small degree, get comfortable with it, and start building from there, or I go all in? Well, if I'm going all in, I need resources, advice, etc. So again, this 2-year design, the implementation being a walk it back, staged approach toward growth. And then finally, your 2-year plan, as you're going through and planning, that plans are great. Plans need to be dynamic. The people I worry about is they have a beautiful plan, might even have a binder on it, but it literally, that binder almost implies that this is the way it's going to work. And the reality is the plan does what? It gets you launched. And then all of a sudden we're making moves back and forth. I know I quote Mike Tyson, who isn't in all the leadership books, a lot on this. He said, plans are great till you get punched in the face. And really it's kind of true. And there's a lot of football metaphors too, that coaches have beautiful playbooks and the game starts and you can throw it away because their star player got hurt in the first 30 seconds. Okay, plan B. So do we have plan B in mind as we're going into these things? What is working, what's not working? And I'll close with that last bullet point, because I think it ties into Learn and Lead, what we've talked about since the very first session at the end of March. And that is, as a leader, am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? Solution being, my ears are open, my eyes are open to what you're telling me. What do you think? How are you doing? These open-ended questions we talk about as leaders, not what are you doing? I'm the leader, I know the way. And most of us, don't say those things, but sometimes we don't have to say it because people feel that. So if you're part of the solution, people look to you and say, I will follow your lead, but I want to be part of the solution too. Am I part of the problem? Is I am thinking about reopening, not restarting. I'm looking to survive, to persevere through this, to get back to where we were. And that's not where we want to be. We want this restart, and it won't be easy. But again, the more we think of leadership and what leaders do, to learn and lead, that's going to get us there.